People, it is happening again. Ep.8. Here we are.
We got already?
It,
We're
it
already at
is
eight?
eight already. It is
Wow.
eight
Wow.
already. Count them. We're nearly there. Nearly at 10, and then from there, it's on to
By the way,
100.
I do want to call out Max Tennant, who did a great LinkedIn post for all the previous ones that we've had before.
He
For
certainly
last
did.
week's movie.
He certainly did. No,
If you haven't seen that on
Very good.
probably either of our LinkedIn's, I would definitely check that out.
and give Max a follow because he does actually have a lot of very interesting information on LinkedIn. He's well worth following. Whilst we're doing shout outs before we even get to introductions, I also want to talk about our brothers on another platform that is Adrian Morgan and Simon Burke, who do their Twitch channel every week. Doing what's new and talking about the things that are going there. So if you are you want to consume things that way, particularly I know the gamer types like Twitch, but the AWS Twitch channel is going near 24/7. A lot of good content on there. But yeah,
Awesome.
certainly do go check out those guys as well.
Are we saying we have some competition now, Doug? Is that?
Oh no,
Is that what this is? Are
they
we calling them out? Is this our?
They actually
I don't
predate
think.
us. Well, arguably we've cut their lunch. So apologies and and love to them.
We love those guys. They're the best.
So I am Douglas Park, and my partner, well, I would say in fighting crime, is
right.
Mark Rutkowski. Mark,
we don't know who's Robin and Robin yet. We're still figuring that out.
I'm Robin. Let's be fair. Yeah. But Mark, how are you doing?
I'm doing all right, Doug. How you doing? Like
I'm doing well.
I'm at home. You can see the bookcase behind me.
I know. I was going to say I don't need to ask where you are. You're in North Carolina. I myself, though, am in Brisbane, in sunny Brisbane. The weather is magnificent, and I'm wondering why don't I live in Brisbane? It's, anyway,
we're getting that time of year where you're starting to get into the summer weather, right?
Yeah,
and we're starting to go into the winter. So you're going to be far more positive than I am, probably.
Very soon.
Right?
But we have our proficiency based routing has routed a certain proficiency into the contact center, into our contact or into our podcast. And that is, and I've wanted to do this episode since we first came up with the idea for the podcast, because I think this topic is so important and is so overlooked or misunderstood, or so needs explanation. I think to really get what we're doing and the value of it. But before we get to the topic, let's introduce my brother from another mother who I've known since 2007. I want to say Nelson Martinez. Welcome, Nelson. Tell us who you are. Introduce yourself. Just a couple of sentences on who you are.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, guys. Thank you for having me here. I am Nelson Martinez. I'm a Sun Connect Solutions Architect. I am aligned to the service team. That is a part that is slightly different, and I'm aligned to the Telco resiliency service team here in Seattle. I've been in AWS like you, I'm less than you, obviously.
Oh, not
5 years
less.
or so.
Yeah.
5 years.
And you've given away there what the topic is for those, even if they didn't get it from the what will be the title of this podcast episode. But it is telecommunications, telco, telephony, whatever you want to talk about it, and our unique approach to that, and how we and the real strength that we bring in that area. But we will get to that much, much deeper. And first, I want to ask Mark, what is new, or what do you like in what's new? Because there's several things, but there's some standouts.
There's a lot of good stuff, as always, right? My favorite, and we might have talked about this in the previous part, but I do want to kind of highlight it again because I do think it's such a cool feature, is monitoring flow performance with metrics in Flow Designer analytics mode. So that's a mouthful, right? But essentially what that means is today we have this really great drag and drop designer, right? Particularly in the IVR experience, and when you're building, your customer experience and your customer workflow, it's pretty straightforward to do that today, given the strength of what we've built with Connect. And one of the great new features now is you can actually see interactive analytics while you're building the contact flow. And what that is really cool about is the fact that, and this has been something I think we've probably talked about since we launched Connect way back, but the ability when a customer comes into your contact flow, and actually being able to see how effective your contact flow is, right? So when you have that, your self-service bot at the beginning of that experience, and directing them to the specific queues or the specific BUs that you need, to be answered in the right way, or even other, self-service bots, you can now see those interactive metrics. So you can see the percentage of routing, you can see percentage of where they get, when you're getting errors. Like I think it's a really cool feature, right? Because you can immediately start to see the impact. Why is everyone pressing 0? Going around my service experience, right? Like you can see that now in terms of that interaction. You can see the number of interactions, right? You can see that percentage, right? That's being distributed across your call flows. So I think it's a really cool feature. I think it's something that is going to allow customers to really optimize their experience.
I think it speaks to a really strong story across the board of a word that I'm using more these days, thanks to generative AI in the contact center, but that is observability. So it's being able to, so we'll have, contact lens analytics over your generative AI, any bots or any interactions or anything like that. And certainly we've obviously got recording, but then being able to see exactly where people are making their choices and across the overall, that entire end-to-end experience. What are my customers doing? What do they like? What do they not like? Where are they getting their answers? What's working for them? What's not? Absolutely love it. My one, and I'm going to actually have part A and part B here because they're both in and of themselves smallish, but they speak to a much larger capability, and that is Amazon Connect contact lens sensitive data redaction. So that is PII redaction in 7 additional languages. You can go and look up what they are, but they're things like Portuguese, Spanish, German, Italian, those on and on it goes. That adds to the overall language capability, which I think 64 languages. I haven't actually looked it up before. I think it was last time I looked for contact lens. Really amazing span of capability there, and that's really been accelerated by our use of and adoption of large language models. And again, speaking to the way in which we have built a framework with Amazon Connect, where we can swap out models. If Nova Pro is working the best, we use that. If Claude Sonnet's working the best, we use that. And that's again how we spoke last week about how you can choose which model you want to use for your reasoning in the in Q and Connect. Part B of my what's new, but yes, a language support across the board, is the customizable service level calculations. And that's not just changing what you would think, which is, the 80 and 20 and all that kind of thing, but it's actually, are we counting callbacks as part of our service level? Are we counting abandons as part of our service level? Are we counting transfers? All these calculations where that can be different depending on what your contact center is, what your business is, what your organization is. Some care, some don't, and we're not saying this is the one way, this is the right way. As always, we put it in the hands of our customers to make sure they can get the right calculations they need to drive their business outcomes.
And this is way easier than the way we used to have to do it.
It is way easier. and that speaks to a lot of what we do every time. We can begin sometimes some of our features, and we always like to be vocally self-critical. Sometimes we come to market, we put the capability out there, but it might be, historically it might have been, an API. Or it was a build, or we give you the raw data and you need to aggregate all those. But we have a proven track record now over 8 years of through this the pace of innovation of building things and bringing them into the platform, turning them into a tick box, turning them into a selectable feature, and that is yet another reason why I love this platform.
Well, I'll say from a product perspective, right? Folks like yourself, Doug, and Nelson, right? Like, you guys are also the heartbeat that we hear from our customers, right? You're building solutions, right, that are often filling some of those gaps from our perspective. And when we see enough of that demand, right, you come back and say, like, hey guys, we really need
building this over and over again for customers.
Right. Yeah.
We keep using transcribe. Could we build that in? Sure. Here's contact lens.
Exactly. Yeah. And so it's, bringing those signals to us, right? So we can, evolve the product that much more quickly.
And maybe we haven't made entirely clear to those who listen to where our different roles sit within relation to Amazon Connect. And I don't want to go too deep on this, but you touched on it there, Mark, really nicely, in that you're part of the product team and the service team that actually builds Amazon Connect. That actually builds a part of it.
The core product that everybody uses as part of the core product.
And while you personally talk to customers a lot, the service team doesn't necessarily get out every day and talk to customers.
Yeah, we have to build the product.
Yeah. There's only so many hours in the day.
Yeah, it's 100%. Right. We work with really great engineers and other product managers, right, to really drive building
other AWS services, where you're
other AWS services, right? Like, and that is one of the benefits too, right? Is that we get these great Lego blocks, as I like to say, right? That would help us go that much more quickly. Right.
Yeah, and you build for our customers, and our customers then they don't have to build anymore. Yeah, and so I'm in the field team, I guess as it's called, which is the people who are actually out meeting customers day in, day out, explaining to them how we can help them or how we can solve their problems, or, as you say, Mark, taking feedback, saying, hey, we're hearing from customers that they really would like this part of the platform to work this way or this feature to work this way.
Exactly.
And that's never moving target. Nothing is static. Our customers have different demands. Their customers have different demands. There's new technologies that come along, whether that be, large language models, whether that be different channels, different ways people want to communicate, which brings us neatly to where we're going to come to. But the interesting way I wanted to touch on this is because Nelson is on the call. So Nelson is yet another role which is right in between, and I don't know how he appears on your window, but for me, he is right between us and the way I'm looking at it.
Yes.
So Nelson is a service-aligned solution architect, whereas I am customer-facing. So Nelson takes that information and takes the lessons and what he's hearing from the field and understands the I guess the constraints that naturally a service team has in terms of where do we invest, how many resources do we have, what can we, what's going to be the biggest impact, and is that conduit between the two. Yeah,
kind of specialist. Yeah,
yep.
It's very much like you have to be very horizontal.
Yes,
right. And Nelson is vertical, right?
Yep.
Like deep, right, in each of these in very specific areas.
Correct.
And that's
the connect part.
E.g. telephony.
Yeah. Which
we're going to talk about it.
Let's do it. So Nelson, finally, you've been very, 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 very patient.
And just one thing, Nelson, like Doug just keeps talking.
Yeah, will be almost 30 minutes.
Maybe at the end of the year, I'll do an edit just of all my pieces just together so people can listen to one long.
I can't wait.
But Nelson, I'd like you to take us back to the start if you can. So back to the beginning of when we launched, why we included, because this would be the number one question I get from customers who have never heard of Amazon Connect before. When we first talk to them, the number one question would probably be either can we bring our own carriage, or why can't we bring, or why do you include the carriage? It's sort of a fundamental infrastructural question, I guess, that's different to everything they've done before.
Correct.
By carriage, we also mean carrier.
Carrier. Telephony, whatever the word is that suits you. So Nelson, over to you.
Okay. Yeah, I think that the story starts back when 2006, when we started the Amazon Connect story. We start basically building our own contact center solution, as we maybe discussed initially. And that has been the time that we have been building a telephony in the cloud at the scale. We have around almost 20 years of experience doing that. Then why we included into the solution? I think that the core part is we always do that differentiated heavy lifting for our customers. That is basically when everything starts. We take on all the challenges that customers will basically have to deal with global telephony. Then some of the challenges is carrier management. For imagine doing global telephony, you have to have carrier contracts, multiple countries around the world, have infrastructure around the world as well. Imagine managing failures. Where is the failure? Is the carrier? Is my system? Is my network? Then a security regulation that every country has their own regulation, as we know, and security patching with all this equipment, and managing all the complex the pricing and a situation.
And Nelson, you're giving away that you work with very large customers, but I also work with some very, very small customers, and they have the same problem.
Yep.
Managing a carrier, managing an SBC, patching, and sometimes they don't even patch it that well.
That is a risk.
And it's not a particularly fun or interesting job, and it is something that costs them money.
Correct.
This is an operational cost.
Yeah, and it's not directly related to the core business.
Not at all.
Yeah, that is one of the. Then that is the reason. We basically take on all the challenges, and we learn basically doing it ourselves. And yeah, we have all the experience up to now. We have around 44 carrier connections, interconnections around the world that we manage. We are in 158 plus countries that we can provide service in our platform. Then imagine that in the past, before the cloud, that will be like a really impossible or very, very hard to achieve.
Yeah. And I mean, you've spoken there eloquently about the, for want of a better term, the negative reasons why we've done it. the removing of the undifferentiated heavy lifting. Just like we don't want you to worry about licenses or software or hardware on the actual platform itself. Again, carrier, licenses, SBCs, possibly multiple SBCs, load balancers, all that stuff that's just, it's operational cost that we build into the platform that you no longer have to worry about. Can we talk now about some of the positives that this brings, though, in terms of, and we can take this back to the 5 core principles, and another shout out to my colleague Adrian Morgan, who really crystallized this for me the other day, that the 5 reasons to move to the cloud, elasticity, agility, cost reduction, go global in minutes, security, thank you. How could I forget security? Job zero. But yeah, so Nelson, let's talk there. Like, what's the upside? So it's not just what we're taking away from you in terms of burden, but what are you gaining by moving onto the platform?
Yeah, that is. And those the 5 are very well aligned. I think that we have another 5 like advantages of using Amazon Connect fully managed telephony. First is easy to migrate. As normally bringing the carrier, the telephony was one of the longest activities when we did contact centers. If you guys remember, then
Okay,
now
I know I'm not going to interrupt you again, but I do want to say, prior to joining AWS, I worked for another cloud contact center company, and they did not have bring your own. They had bring your own carriage, bring your own carrier.
Mhm.
Every single deployment, without fail, every single one was held up by the carrier and the SBCs, and it could have been something as simple as, we ordered the large form factor plug, and the SBC needed the small form factor plug for the fiber. Like, I'm not kidding. It was got down to that kind of but it could just be, oh well, we don't know. We've never used this SBC before. We don't know how to, we've got to configure. Like, everything was held up by that. So
100%.
I won't interrupt you again, but I just want to say
that that stuff, Doug, but you just brought it all back.
the struggle is real. Like, this is not a theoretical problem.
That is
This was an
totally right.
actual problem. Yeah, please go on.
Then that is the first one, the easy to migrate. We do have the capability to have the global reach that we are going to talk about in detail. But I want to double down into the reliability and redundancy. That is a key component, because the first part that I want to highlight is we have multiple carriers in almost the majority of the countries that we have that publicly available. That is something that was not really an option before. It was only in the ones that I did, the majority in my own premises years, it was mainly one carrier. It was not enough one to have more than one. We have multiple carriers available, and that's something that customers can use. And now we have the internet as well, because we have in-app web and video calling. Then you can not only have multiple carriers, you can have your website or your mobile app to be used to make calls using the internet.
And this is configured by.
How does our AWS backbone come to play into this? Right? Does that? I mean, isn't that a huge part of this as well?
That is a massive part in the global deployment. Basically, that is what we are leveraging to be able to have like a local carrier interconnections in the different countries that we have presence, and then we bring all the calls through our AWS backbone. That is basically it has been an improvement around 20% in latency. Around that is basically what when we move all the calls to be in our network between the different countries.
So that is to make it clear for people. So basically, you're breaking onto our network as close to you as you possibly can.
Correct.
And then we handle the carriage. Well, we handle the transport of that information across the AWS backbone. So rather than you call a number in let's say in Japan, and you're calling into Australia, that would then be handled by the traditional carrier network. It would make its way through all the handoffs and international relationships and all the rest of it into Australia to then break onto our network. So what was the reduction in latency you were saying that we were
around 20% is what was reduced between the other part is because we have the global network now. You can have independent of where the instance is located. We have basically the service in 11 AWS regions. We can have basically all these countries available in those regions. Yeah, you can have one instance in I will say in the US, and you can have numbers from basically all these countries that we have available in that specific instance. That is a true, real global telephony network. Then
go on.
Yeah, sorry, that was the part of talking about reliability and redundancy, the multi-carrier, and then we have the global network, a AWS global network to basically join all these different carriers to your instance. The other part is our connectivity with the carriers in every um, basically implementation is at least 3 to 4 or 3+ fiber connections. Then we have multiple connections between our different data centers, part of the availability zones and in the region, back to the carriers interconnection. Then we have a reliability built in at the network connection and the last mile, I would say.
See, the thing I
Yeah.
love about this is I get to say with confidence to customers, and this is demonstrated it time and time again, that just by moving on to Amazon Connect, if they do nothing else, they replicate exactly what they've got in terms of their contact flows. Hi, welcome to the contact center, press 1 for this, press 2 for that, route to an agent. They don't take any of the advantage of the sort of the application layer benefits. Just by moving on to Amazon Connect, they are increasing their availability posture and their reliability posture when it comes to customers being able to call them by a factor I can't even calculate. Like, imagine an organization, let alone some of the smaller customers, but even a large one like one of the banks or something, what it would cost them to recreate this kind of reliability and this level of availability across multiple data centers with multiple SBCs and hot standbys and failovers and all that kind of thing. Like, they couldn't be bothered to, and they couldn't afford to maintain it. And yet we give it to them as part of the consumption-based pricing.
And they get the
Correct.
advantage of the scale that we have across all of our customers.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And so those constant iterative improvements that we're making benefits everybody. Right. Like one of the biggest things that I often hear from our, particularly from our newer customers when they onboarded to Connect is the quality of voice.
Yeah.
Right. Like that is something that I hear a lot, right? Is like, wow, this is so much better, right, than what we have.
In this region, I hear that a lot from customers who come on board from the Philippines, where traditionally the internet connectivity is patchy, maybe not as good as high quality as it is some that the increase in the quality of the voice is marked. And I think that this might seem a little cute to say this, but this is really where the rubber hits the road of going with a hyperscale organization like AWS in terms of selecting a platform like this. This may sound like a sales pitch to people, and of course, to a certain extent, we are trying to promote the benefits of it. But this is really wanted to have this discussion because I think people sometimes glance over, even people within our own teams, glance over just how fundamental this is to the operations of our customers. That this reliability.
Voice is the number one experience.
Yeah.
Right. It is the number. Like we have to ensure that is the best possible
100%.
experience that our customers have. Right. And again, digital channels are important, right? And email is important, and all these other channels and stuff. But voice is still the predominant channel that's used in the contact center today.
Well, there's a very large carrier that selected us. I won't say the name, but selected us for their contact center, and they're completely migrated onto us. And as part of that process, I did question. I said, you know that we use multiple carriers. Like, this is like, I wanted to make sure that this didn't somehow at a certain point get to someone senior who said, well, what are you kidding me? Like, what's going on? We can't go with these guys. But they were ahead of me on this one, where they said, well, sooner or later we recognize, based on history, we will have an outage.
Yeah.
And the idea that you can give us the ability for our customers still to be able to contact us during that outage, whilst those customers might not be very happy with you, it's still better to hear from them. But they said, so we see this as a massive benefit. Yes, we want you to preference our carriage for us when you can, which we do.
Yeah.
But ultimately, it's a strength for them to have multiple carriers for when that day comes,
100%.
which is
And something about the SBCs, like we have thousands of SBCs around a footprint around the world. Then that is the scalability that we have is really remarkable. It's something that really, when we see customers that are basically they can, with the service limits, you will be able to grow at any point if required.
Of course, the flexibility, the elasticity.
Yeah, the elasticity. That's key.
It. Yeah. And it's not just scale up, it's scale down, as I always like to tell people, because people often talk about, but it'll just go up and it'll cost me more. Well, no, if you use it less, you'll pay less. We're the only one where your bill can go down.
And
Well, particularly for seasonal businesses, right? Like that's huge,
yeah,
right? Like if you're a seasonal business
around tax time or whatever.
tax
Yeah,
time, right? Or the holiday season or, the summer season, right? Like those are, for certain businesses, like that is like, they've got to be on all the time, right?
yeah.
During that, any outage is, seriously lost money for them.
yeah.
Well, something that I want to summarize the reliability and redundancy with one sentence. That is,
I love
every
this.
customer, no matter how large or small, gets a truly redundant enterprise graded telephony. That is basically what we are offering. You can be the small company or the large company, you will
And
get an
while it
enterprise
doesn't
grade.
make us money in the same way, of course we love massive contact centers for the revenue and all the rest of it. But I'm so proud of what we provide for 2C contact centers.
Yeah.
That they
Mhm.
get, as
Yeah.
you say, that enterprise grade telephony. They get the speech analytics. They get all their large language model. They get all of that. Whether you are one person or whether you are 10,000 people, you get the same reliability. It's not a cut down version, not a light version, not an express version. It's none of those things. We give it all. You did glance over, and I want to come back to it before we come to the final, because I also want to talk maybe about the voice connector before we close out. But the WebRTC, you mentioned that being able to call over the internet, that's available in our communications widget. Talk to us about that, because I want to make sure that maybe some of the less technical users maybe talk through the use case or how that sort of adds to our redundancy when it comes to voice.
Yeah, basically, with the out of the box widget that you can configure in Amazon Connect in minutes, you can basically get that widget, put it in your website, and you can make calls directly from there. When you click that click to call option, it will basically use the internet to connect back to Amazon Connect. The advantage is you can get information from the website. The authentication of the user will reduce the average handle time overall. Then you'll be able to connect that way. For more complex implementations, when the customer has a mobile app, then we can embed with an SDK as part of your mobile app. You can basically click as you use another WhatsApp or FaceTime applications. You can call directly from your mobile app, again, using the internet, connecting back to Amazon Connect, and you will connect to an agent at the end.
And
You
you
can
can
have
add in go on.
video, screen sharing. Those
Yeah.
capabilities are built in. And now we have multi-user that we already talked about it in
We
episode
actually,
number
that's what
4.
we call that blog post. I think we call that a blog post. What was it? Was it episode 3, maybe 4?
Yeah. Episode 4.
You remember.
I remember that one.
I suspect Nelson is our number one ticket holder. He often messages me about when he's listening to the pod, which I love.
Yeah.
Yeah, follower for sure.
Now we may break a record and actually close out in the 30 minutes, which we always aim to do. But I scupper that.
Well, I have more advantages. Give me a minute.
One thing,
go. More advantages.
No,
Yeah, go.
one thing I want to highlight is I do like the ability at which you can leverage that end customer experience that's more integrated, to whether it's a website or a mobile app, right? Versus previously with telephony, it was kind of that weird add-on, right? In terms of the customer. Now having this more seamless integration with the ability to escalate, right, is huge. Right, like that is a very seamless for the
going through the same flows, same experiences, same bots if you want, same it's all the same. It's not like there's this thing off to the side that we built. It's all the same infrastructure,
fully integrated.
Yeah.
But Nelson, benefits. You promise more.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, let me easy to migrate. We talk about reliability and redundancy. Global reach, already discussed that.
Yes.
Fully managed. Then the fully managed is important because we have a team of experts in telecoms. And basically, we have people with hundreds of years. We put all the time together of experience around the world. We have multiple languages and multiple countries that we basically support our solution. We do, as we discussed before, we do all the patching, all the security. That is basically our job zero in AWS. Then that is a key component. Like we have people that really are deep into the telephony, basically providing the service to our customers.
I would say we're world class.
We are. It's a world class team, 100%.
Chris McCart locally.
Yeah, Chris. Yeah.
A quick call out to him. He is an absolute diamond managing all the
Anthony Gush in the
Tony
UK. He's the owner of he has basically changed these products significantly. When I started, we have like a 20 countries. Now we have 558 countries. That is basically what we have done in 4 years or so.
Okay.
The last one.
Yeah,
lower cost. Lower cost. I have 20 seconds.
Yeah, good. Yes.
Lower cost because there are basically what we are, we are charging, as you said, pay as you go for our telephony, but there is a lot of cost that the customers that don't need to pay anymore. All this infrastructure, licensing, networking, all the maintenance, operation, security, upgrades, that is basically removed from them.
And we have only ever reduced prices. And we have felt that particularly in my region in ANZ, as for Mark's benefit. But in ANZ, we have reduced prices multiple times due to scale. As we've got bigger and we've got better deals from our carriers, so too we pass that straight on. And those have dropped.
I always kind of have the conversation when customers come to us and they say, "Well, we have a better deal," and we're like,
let's crunch some numbers here and just see where we end up.
Exactly. Yeah. We always enjoy those conversations. They're the best.
We do enjoy those conversations.
And last part, and we are not stopping here. We are growing.
Yeah,
our contract coverage is growing because we have the clear mission to provide instant access to the most extensive, highest quality, elastic, reliable telephony worldwide. And everything will be as a fully managed service at a lower cost. That is we're in a path. We are still ready to go.
Yeah, and self-service is a big part of that, right? And we continue to drive towards that.
Yes, correct.
Be able to claim numbers left, right, and center whenever you need to release them. So as a final question, what part does generative AI play in this, Nelson?
That is a good question. We have I asked this question yesterday. I had the question yesterday. We have been implemented internally in our processes and how these are being managed. But we are the access to generative AI. You need to access it.
It was entirely a joke on my part. It's just we can't get through this without generative AI.
Something that we have a reinvent session, by the way. That we are going to focus in global
so
telephony.
Any customers who are at reInvent or who want to check out the sessions afterwards? Yep, excellent.
Yeah, we have a session about global telephony and that we're going deeper into what we discussed. And
now, Nelson, it has been magnificent to have you on the podcast.
Yes.
We may well have a good reason for having you back because I know you are expanding your role. Hannah, who was the guest on our last podcast, a very popular podcast, a very popular guest, it has started a new team, the Applied AI team, and you are migrating into that team. So we may well have another reason to come back and chat.
Maybe we'll get Hannah to come back, right? Like,
that will be great.
That would be amazing.
I'm not sure I can handle it.
We need more than 30 minutes. It will not be enough.
Then the squares are going to be smaller. We'll have to divide it,
Yeah.
But thank you so much,
Thank
Nelson.
you for having me.
And Mark, always great to see you every week. I think we'll sign it off there. See you guys.
Thank you, guys.
Have a good one.